And welcome to Les Brown's Motivational Monday Night Call, your place for motivation and inspiration by world-renowned speaker, author, and coach, none other than Mr. Les Brown, featuring Les Brown and the Platinum Speakers. My name is Dr. Stacy N.C. Grant. I have the privilege of being your host tonight. So, as you know, Mr. Brown travels the world. He's traveling right now, inspiring and changing lives. And he said, you know what, Stacy? I want someone very special to do the call. The two of you have been doing an amazing job, and he's just an incredible individual, and some of you have come on for the first time, so you don't know who he is. So I'm going to tell you a little bit, and those of you who've been listening for the last couple of months, you're very familiar with this vision breakthrough expert. He's a professional certified success coach, trainer, entrepreneur, published author, and dynamic speaker. So it's a pleasure that I get to work and play with him, and we can change the world together. I want to introduce to you none other than Dr. Ruben West. Ruben, are you on the line?
I'm on the line, Stacy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, and I am so excited that we are on this line together. It's a new day. It's the middle of July already. Third quarter is picking up speed, and I know you have a message tonight that's going to fire up our listeners.
Oh, I do. And you can probably hear in my voice, I'm excited. Every single time I get to speak, I'm excited. And so I heard some new listeners on the call. I heard some people who are returning, so I'm excited. I'm going to deliver this message.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to put my phone on mute and get my pen and paper out so I can take notes. Take it away, my brother.
Gotcha. First thing I want you to write down, everybody on the call, I want you to write this down. Mandy Hale said this. She said, happiness is an inside job. I just jot that down in your notes on your paper. Happiness is an inside job. When you heard Stacy talking about all of the things that I've done, and she talks about the things that I've accomplished, I look back to a time in my life where I wasn't in a position to accomplish those things. And here's the funny thing. When I look back now, I realized that I could have done that even sooner if I realized that it was up to me, but I didn't. I've got to be honest with you. I was thinking that it was somebody keeping me from doing it. I was blaming other people. I was blaming the circumstance. I was blaming the situation. But really it was me. And until I realized that it was me, that it was an inside job, I never took action. And so today I'm going to talk to you about taking action. I'm going to talk to you about understanding that your life is in your hands right now as I speak, and that whatever you want, whatever you're going to get out of this life is going to come from within you. It's going to come from within you. I was reading this book, and this book was called Dying to Be Me. Now, if you're a reader, get this book. This book is called Dying to Be Me by Anita Marjorani. Moorjani, Marjorani. And here's the key. The book is about an NDE. I don't know if you know what an NDE is, but an NDE stands for a near-death experience. Listen to that, a near-death experience. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Anita said, but for those of you who are on the call, you may not have heard, but I had one of those myself, and I've, for the most part, never really told anybody about it. And so on the call live tonight, you're going to hear about it for the first time. But let me tell you what she said. She had been fighting cancer for almost 4 years. All over her body began to shut down. See, the reason I'm starting there is because sometimes we find ourselves in circumstances and situations that we've been in for an extended period of time. And here's the thing. We don't get really shut down by things that go and come quickly. It just doesn't happen like that. If we have a cold and it comes and goes quickly, we get right back up on our feet. If we have a financial setback for a week or a month and it comes and goes, then no problem. We're right back up on our feet. If we're at odds with a good friend, a best friend, or a loved one, and it lasts for a week or less, we're right back in the mix. But what happens is when it's an extended period of time, it causes problems. It's hard to see our way out. And that's exactly what Anita found herself in. She had been fighting cancer for 4 years, and her body began to shut down. That the malignant cells were spreading throughout her system. And her organs failed, And here's the thing. She entered into this extraordinary NDE. It's a near-death experience. And here's what she said in the book. She said she got a new sense of awareness, that she started to understand things. She started to see things. She started to hear things that normally she wouldn't see, hear, or understand. That it transcended space and it transcended time. She was in the hospital and she was aware that her family members were getting on planes to come and see her in other parts of the world. That she could hear her family members talking down the hallway with the doctors, even though she's in this room and they're talking quietly. She was aware of all of these things. That's crazy. And then she said she regained consciousness. Now, here's the key about an NDE. If you've ever heard anybody talk about an NDE, it's a near-death experience, and sometimes they're clinically dead. In other words, their heart stops, they stop breathing, they're doing CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, they're trying to get them back. But they said that when they were gone, when they were out of their body, they had an out-of-body experience, and they found something out. They entered into a life. They experienced a realm of peace that they never knew existed. And for the people who've come back, do you know what they decided? You know what they said? That they have life to live. See, if you've ever been in a difficult situation and you fought your way back, once you get back, you realize that you have life to live. That's what Anita said. She said she found her way back and she realized that she had life to live. But let me tell you the amazing thing about this NDE. She said her condition had improved. And it improved so quickly that within weeks she was released from the hospital and there was no trace of cancer in her body. Now get this, it had been in her body for 4 years. She had been struggling for 4 years, but then within weeks after coming back from this NDE, this near-death experience, there was no trace of it. That's crazy because what she said is during that time she figured out how to heal herself. And she figured out what it was that was causing her all the problems. And I get it. When I read her book, I saw me in the book. And as I tell you about her book, I want you to see if this applies to you. You know what she said is that she had been pushed and pulled in all kinds of directions. That she had grew up in different cultures, in different religions, and different customs as a little girl. And for years, she was struggling with how to fit in. She was trying to please this person over here because they wanted her to act a certain way. And then she was trying to please that person over there because they wanted her to act a certain way. But the problem was the way they wanted her to act was different than the way this person wanted her to act. So even though she was trying to please them both, she couldn't. And it created a conflict. And you know what the conflict was? The conflict was in her. You see, I believe that a lot of people are dying not because of what they're eating, but what's eating them. You know what they're doing? They're trying to please everyone else. And that's exactly what Anita said she was doing. She was trying to meet everyone else's expectations. And so if you've ever had yourself in that situation, you can see how difficult it would be. And then she said she had an epiphany. And that was that she had the power to heal herself and that all she had to do was be me, to be herself. She said the book, Dying to Be Me. That's why she was dying, because she was trying to be everything for everyone else and she wasn't being what she needed to be for herself. And when I read that book, I realized that she wasn't the only one. It made me think about my NDE, my near-death experience. And so I'm going to share that with you. Because I thought that was brilliant that Anita figured out that her happiness, it was an inside job. But it was up to her. And I bet after you listen to what I say, you're going to figure it out for yourself. See, for me, my NDE, my near-death experience, it wasn't physical. Okay, you heard me. It wasn't physical. No, I wasn't in the hospital. I wasn't getting CPR. I wasn't on life support. That wasn't me. My near-death experience is because I went through a difficult time in my life. I remember when I went through my divorce, and it was difficult for me. And I had gotten a job in Wichita, Kansas, and here's the thing. everybody there said that I was the best worker they had ever had, that I showed up early, that I stayed late, that I took extra call. I did whatever it was, that I always was upbeat and on time. And here's what they didn't know. I didn't mind working extra because I didn't want to go home to that apartment and wonder about my children and then wonder if they were thinking about me. So for me, I was just keeping busy. I was just going through the motion. I was just doing everything that everyone else wanted me to do. I was doing exactly what Anita was doing. And you may find yourself in that situation where you're struggling to please this person or struggling to please that person, or you've been through a difficult situation and the dream that you had for your life is starting to shut down. As a matter of fact, you can't even see it no more. You had some ideas of some things that you were going to be. You had some dreams, goals, and desires that you were going to achieve. And now, because of what you've been through, they're fading away. See, for some people, their NDE is their dreams has died. That light is almost shut out. That they know that they wanted to write this book, and the days are passing by, the years are passing by, and almost, they're almost out of time. See, for some people, this is really interesting, but some people put themselves in situations where they cannot get in a positive relationship, and then they say to themselves, I'm never going to have a relationship. I've given up. Their NDE, that near-death experience, is the fact that their dream for a relationship has died. They've given up. For me, I had given up. And then one day I met this nurse. Her name was Glenna Blackman. And she said, Ruben, there's more to you. You can do more than what you're doing right now. People will listen to you. You can start your own business. Edwina, me? I remember saying that. Edwina, me? That you don't understand that. My heart has been broken. You don't understand the difficulty I've been through. You don't understand the pain that I've been through. You don't understand the pain that I'm feeling right now. I could just imagine Anita when she was laying in that bed, cancer for 4 years. I can't imagine the pain that she was in. But in my heart, I felt like I understood it. And here's what she said. You don't have to live like this. That you can pick yourself back up. That it may not be the way you want it to be now, but it doesn't mean that it's over. It just means that you have to do something different. That you have to try something different. But whatever you do, don't just give up. Don't just lay down and die. See, there have been people that I know that have just laid down and died. Not a physical death. They laid down and died. What died? Their dreams died. Their goals died. And they tell me, Ruben, I don't know how you do it. You have all of these businesses. You have all these things that you're doing. I wanted a business before. And I said, well, why don't you go for it? It's too late for me. It's too late. And I'm thinking, what do you mean it's too late? How old are you? Well, man, I'm 48. I'm 48? Are you kidding? It's not too late. I don't understand. Why would you say that? Sidney Harris said, regret for the things we did can be tempered by time. It's regret for the things we did not do that's inconsolable. You don't want to wait and not do it, because there's going to come a time when you look back and you'll no longer be able to do it. When I got that, when she came in day after day saying, Ruben, there's something about you that you could be different, that you can have something different, you could start your own business, you can do that, people will listen to you. All of a sudden I said, wait a minute, I started to hear it differently. And all of the things that I've been through started to clear up, and I said, wait a minute, there is an answer, and the answer was not out there. That was the problem. I was listening to all of the people out there, and I wasn't listening to what was in here. Because truth be told, I wanted my business. Truth be told, I wanted to touch people's lives. Truth be told, I wanted to write the book. Truth be told, I wanted to coach other people. Truth be told, I wanted to work with youth. And when I snapped out of it, when I came back, when I woke up from my NDE, that near-death experience, what my dreams could have been could have been lost when I woke up from that state of mind to realize, wait a minute, I'm just standing here, but I still have all of my faculties. I still have the ability to take the next step. I still have the ability to step out there and do something, that I'm just giving it away. When I woke up from that mindset, I said, wait a minute, that I'm going to come back and do every single thing I said I wanted to do. That it doesn't matter that I may have been down. It doesn't matter that this situation didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. That's just a challenge. Like Dr. Willie Jolly said when he said a setback is a setup for a comeback, that I have comeback power. And that came back from my NDE. And I said, when I come back, I'm going to do all of these things. And so the first thing I did was put a team together and started my business. And then I wrote the book. And then I started speaking. And then I started another company. I just kept going and going and going. You know why? Because I saw the light. I was at a situation where I had nothing to lose. And the reason I'm telling you is you may be in that exact same situation right now where there's things that haven't worked out the way you wanted them. So what? And you may be thinking they can't get any worse. Then so what? If they can't get any worse, you might as well do something. The only way you can go is up. You know where I found my happiness? You know where I found the understanding that I could do the things I wanted to do? I found it right inside me. You know where you're going to find it? In you. I was just reading an article online, and it was about a bank robbery. And the police were baffled. And the reason that they were so perplexed was because the bank robbery was almost perfect. They said that the people who robbed the bank, they were able to get in and get out before the alarm was sounded. They said that, they had cameras stationed in certain areas and they wanted to catch a glimpse of the people's face, but that they didn't catch a glimpse of the faces because they were always looking in the opposite direction when they passed by the camera. And then they said that, they take money out of the drawers, they take this money, and then they have what they call die packs. The die packs are packs of money that when you open it, they blow up, and they blow dye all over you. So it's on your face and it's on your hands, and it ruins the money because everybody knows it came from a bank robbery. And you can't go outside because you have dye on your face. It dyes your skin. But here's the thing, the robbers, they didn't take the die pack. No, they took all the other money, but they didn't take the die pack. They said it was almost perfect. They had said, man, they didn't get their faces on camera. They got the code. They got the money. They got in. They got out. There was no alarm. You know what they said? They said it was so perfect that the situation went so well, even though it was a robbery, it was planned so well that the only way that this could have worked is what? You know what it is. It had to be an inside job. Why do I tell you that? Because there's sometimes where you see people walking around and they got a smile on their face and you're wondering, what is it about them that keeps them smiling like that? What is it about them that keeps them going after one goal, after another goal, after another goal? What is it about them that gives them the ability to bounce back after a setback? You know what it is? It's an inside job, that there's something in them that makes them get back up when they get pushed down. That they don't listen to other people, that they don't just go along with what they say, that they believe in themselves. Tom Watson Jr. said if you stand up and be counted from time to time, you may get yourself knocked down. But remember this, a man flattened by an opponent can get back up again. But a man flattened by conformity stays down for good. Stays down for good. What you can't do is you can't conform. What you can't do is you can't listen to what the naysayers say or what the other people say or even what the negative thoughts in your head say. Now, why do I say that? Because Dr. Chad Homesteader said, he said in his book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, that about 75% of our unconscious thoughts or our subconscious thoughts are counterproductive. They're counterproductive. And so you can't listen. You have to find those 25% that will help you see the light. And so I'm going to give you 3 steps to understanding that your happiness is an inside job. Number 1, you be the answer. No, get that. You be the answer. When Anita came back from her NDE, she said she realized that I had the answer all along. That the answer was in me, but because I was trying to do what this person wanted me to do and what that person wanted me to do, I was pulled in all these different directions. And I never decided on what I wanted to do or what I was supposed to be or what I was supposed to have. But when I decided that the answer was from me, I got my life back. She said she cured her own cancer. Your first tip? You be the answer. The second tip? I want you to understand this. Observation determines elevation. You got to get that. Observation determines elevation. It's what is it that you're looking at? Do you see problems or do you see possibilities? Do you see obstacles or do you see options? See, your observation is going to determine your elevation. For me, when I look at it and say, wait a minute, it doesn't matter that I've had this temporary setback, that I still have skills, that I still have ability. That's why I laughed when she started naming all of that stuff, only because everything I've done, anybody could do. But I would have done none of it if I kept going the way I was going. Why? Because I had given up. I had a near-death experience. But then when I started to look at things differently, I saw things differently. They say when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. I look at it differently. And then the third thing is you have to be willing to bet on yourself even when the other people won't. Get that. You have to be willing to bet on yourself even when the other people won't. Now, why do I tell you that? Because when I came back, when I said, wait a minute, I'm going to start this business. Wait a minute, I'm going to write this book. Wait a minute, I'm going to start this surgical assistant school. Wait a minute, I'm going to be a speaker. You know all the people saying, Ruben, you? How are you going to do that? Ruben, wait a minute, do you have the education for that? Wait a minute, Ruben, do you have the know-how for that? Wait a minute, Ruben, how are you? And I said, I don't know. How is none of my business, but what I know is that I'm going to do it. What I know is that I'm going to get started today. What I know for you, whatever you want to do, is all you have to do is get started today. There's some things that's going to happen that you never even knew were going to happen. But they'll never happen if you don't get started. And so today I want you to take these 3 points. Number 1, you be the answer. Number 2, your observation is going to determine your elevation. And number 3, be willing to bet on yourself even when others won't, and realize that when it comes down to your happiness, when it comes down to your success, when it comes down to you living your dream, that's an inside job. I'm Ruben West, reminding you to do what? Live your best life. And do it now. You know why? Because you only get one. Thank you.